The cover story for May is an interview with Minda Duttler, writer, advocate, and the first female wheelchair athlete Ironman triathlon finisher. Also included in this annual mobility-themed issue are topics ranging from equine therapy to public transportation. Sign up to receive this and every issue for free at epmagazine.com.
Oscar Mike Radio is a proud podcast partner of Reach Across America Radio, heard every Thursday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. They're also big supporters of the nonprofit I Got Your Six, Two Lives at Once. And with every wreath you sponsor through Oscar Mike Radio, $5 goes back to this great organization dedicated to making a difference in the lives of veterans, law enforcement, firefighters, and first responders battling PTSD. Two Lives at Once pairs these brave men and women together with dogs rescued from kill shelters. In this way, two lives are saved at the same time by saving each other. Donate now. Go to reachacrossamerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio to help. That's reachacrossamerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio.
Suicide is preventable, and each of us has a role to play in suicide prevention.
Suicide is complex. There is no single cause.
And it's not always a mental health issue. It could be loss of a job or home, financial or relationship issues, pain, or leaving the military.
Suicide does not discriminate. It affects all ages, races, and genders, veterans or not.
If you know a veteran who is struggling, connect with them. Let them know help is available.
There is quick and easy access to services in times of crisis.
Dial 988, then press 1. Talking about it is okay.
Don't keep it inside. Don't be ashamed. Don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis, Marine Corps veteran and your host. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hubazoo Network. You can find out more on hubazoo.com. I want to thank my sponsors, Joyce Asak of Asak Real Estate, Army National Guard veteran, Mark Holmes of Reapers Detailing and Power Washing, and my supporters, Cason Shaving Company, Exceptional Parent Magazine, and Black Cat Designs. It's always a great time here on Oscar Mike Radio. I learned so much, and this next guest focuses on veterans advocacy in a very unique place. I've talked to several people and volunteered at nonprofits that work in and for homeless veterans. But this organization and my next guest do it in a very different way. So without any further delay, I want to welcome Jeremiah Williams, Army veteran of Warriors First Incorporated, to Oscar Mike Radio. Jeremiah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate this opportunity to get our name out there.
This is all great, man. I got reached out to by your organization and said, hey, check us out. And I started looking at it and I'm like, okay, I've talked to homeless, advocacy before. It's all good. It's a problem. Let's face it. But right off the bat, your website and, from what I was able to gather, you all do it in a very different way. So before we get into that, and that's all good and it's all good stuff though, let's figure out who Jeremiah is. Kind of give us a Cliff Notes version of your background and, your Army service and then your transition out of the service, please.
I got you. Well, appreciate that. Well, about me, uh, high school athlete, college athlete, graduated from Liberty University, Lynchburg, Virginia, one of the biggest Baptist schools, Christian Baptist schools on the East Coast. Graduated in 2012 with a bachelor's in sport management. Bounced around from job to job, and then I decided one day, it was kind of weighing on me to actually, because how I got started in the military was that uh, we had a command sergeant major that would work on our farm. I grew up on an 80-acre farm here in the rural area of Buckingham County, Virginia. And uh, he was he asked me basically saying, "Hey, would you ever consider joining the military, joining the National Guard?" And I was like, "Okay." I thought about it. I talked to his brother. His brother was a recruiter. He was a really good guy. Kind of put it on the back burner. Thought it was, not going to be for me. And then later on, I was like, "Man, I really need to do something." And I really wanted to serve my country as well because I love the history. Anybody that knows anything about the National Guard, we're actually the oldest military branch. 1636 is actually, for the National Guard. Um, Minutemen, Patriot, Mel Gibson, watch the movie, great movie. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have this country that we have today. And so that was my history. That's what I really wanted to do. And so in November 1st, 2013, I raised my right hand to serve my country, my state, and went to basic training in February 2014 and ended up getting injured, but I'll go into that in a little bit in a minute. But I still was able to finish and my basic training in AIT at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, Fort Lawson Woods, combat engineer. I love to blow stuff
I
up.
was going to say, blowing stuff up.
Dang right, I can't say the word as we like to, but we got our own drinking song too. Um, but I enjoyed it. I still talk to my drill sergeants to this day. They were great leaders, and but that's how I got started with my military background and how I got started into it. I want to lead into how we got started
Sure.
into with our Warriors First. So with that, going backtrack into how I got injured at basic training, and it put a. I was still able to complete it. I needed to recover it. And doctor almost said I almost lost, part of my foot because of it. And but I still pushed through. Even the head drill sergeant at the base at Fort Leonard Wood, he basically told my stepdad, he's like, "Man, I don't even know how he finished." It was that bad. It got really infected, but I kept on pushing. Got back, told my unit that I needed surgery. I needed surgery for this injury. They went through it. They went through the whole process. Didn't really have a great unit, but we all have those
Yeah.
kind of, I would say, good moments and bad moments in the military. Me, I got mine very early and didn't have a strong connection. I wasn't part of that good old boy system. Never was in high school either. I was always considered myself as a jock geek. I was a jock, but I enjoyed anime, video games, and hanging out with the guys that basically would talk about all that stuff. And I never was cocky or anything. I may be 6'9" and be a big guy and offensive lineman, defensive lineman, but it's just, I was never that way. I was humble, and I still am to this day. I'll help anyone that needs help and offered. I was raised right by my mother. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir.
Absolutely.
And so it's just that Southern hospitality. And,
Nothing like it,
but
man. There's nothing like it.
no, there's really not. And it's just some people, well, that's how I got my beautiful wife. And she's from Jersey. I got her. And she's down here with me. And so,
Now, wait a minute, Jeremiah. I
um,
mean, I have a lot of experience with Jersey and Jersey women. We'll get into that because that's like oil and water, my man. I mean,
hey, she loves me. That's why she's down here. She
I
hasn't left
guess
me yet.
so. Wow. Okay.
But
All right.
she's a
Break
strong
into
Jersey woman. I love her to
yes.
death, and she's basically. When we get into the nitty and gritty about this organization, she is the glue that's held it together.
Oh, that's
It's
fantastic.
and so,
Fantastic. Well done.
but anyway, so I got finally went to my unit. And during that time of waiting for it to get approved, because you know how the military is, they say hurry up and wait, and so it took them a while. It took them a year actually for it to get approved. And so I had a great job working at Fort Pickett. It's now Fort something at Blackstone, Virginia. They changed the name because of all that stuff going on nowadays. But I will always call it Fort Pickett, and
Okay.
because it was just the way I was for me. And so had a great job working there at Mates. I was a painter, and the chief warrant officer really didn't like me, but his bosses did. And so that's how I got the job working there for a good while. And I was trying to, transition out anyway because I knew about my contract. Well, told him when it finally got approved, said, "Hey, I got my surgery approved that I need for the military." He's like, "Well, you're on your probationary period." I said, "Yes, sir, I understand, but I need this surgery." And the only way the National Guard will pay you for your injury or anything, basically, for a military injury or surgery or out of work, is that you have a full-time job. And so that's what I told him. I went through the whole process, did everything I was supposed to do. I was still green, still very new to, knowing everything. And so finally got my surgery done, starting to get my paycheck from the National Guard. And, hey, I'm my mid-20s. I'm thinking, hey, I'm adulting. So I'm going to finally move out of my parents' house, get an apartment. So that way, because I'm still paying on my car, I'm doing everything I need to do right that I was taught that I was supposed to be doing right. And then all of a sudden, because I'm still having complications from the surgery, I get a phone call on October 30th from not one, but two majors. I still remember their names, but I'm not going to say any names on here. So they give me a call and say, "Hey, Specialist Williams, just want to let you know, as of October 3rd, you are no longer employed at Fort Pickett." I said, "I'm just hearing about this now." And they said, "Well, sorry, we couldn't get in touch with you." I said, "Well, you got in touch with me now." And I said, "How is this legal? I'm out of work due to a military injury." And they said, "Well, you weren't able to complete your probationary period." I said, "But again, how is this legal? I'm out of work due to a military injury that the military caused. And I know it's my probationary period, but it shouldn't affect me. And everybody told me it shouldn't affect me." They said, "Well, your chief already submitted the paperwork for your termination, and you're already terminated. This is just a courtesy call." I said, "So what am I supposed to do?" Because I'm being very short with this because I was cussing and everything. They were like, "Remember your military bearing." I said, "Screw that. That's my life, basically." And they said, "If you need any assistance, call your unit." I said, "All right." So my luck, like I said, I had the worst unit in the state of Virginia. Not saying any unit, but uh, all they did was basically give me information to an organization. I'm sure you've talked about it before. It's called Military One Source. Military One Source is an organization. I try to explain this really quickly. Think of it as a central hub to
Yep.
where organizations can actually go connect with them. And so that way, if a soldier like me, myself, or any other person calls them, they can actually answer the questions, and send them in the right direction. And what's organization can actually match their needs or what they need. So I called them, told them my situation. They basically said, "Okay, we're going to ask you 3 questions, and you answer them, and we'll try to figure out the best organization for you." I said, "Okay." I said, "Are you a veteran?" I said, "Well, I raised my right hand to serve my country and my state. I completed basic training in AIT, and this is when I was 2 years in." And I said, "Yeah, I believe I am a veteran." You know, everybody told my recruiter and everybody told me that, "Hey, you put in the work, you've done your training for the team." I mean, it's what we push ourselves to do, and to be deployable. We're ready ourselves to be ready, always there. That's our motto for the National Guard. And so they said, "Sorry, sir, that don't count. Completing basic training don't count. Basic training AIT." I said, "Okay." They said, "Have you accumulated 180 days of active duty service?" I said, "Well, I've been in National Guard for close to 2 years now, and I've been told that my drill dates count as active duty days. So, yeah, I believe I have accumulated 180 days." They said, "Sorry, sir, those are state orders, not federal orders, so those orders don't count."
Oh,
I said, "Okay." And the final question they knew the answer to, but they asked it anyway. They said, "Do you have any prior service that equals to 6 years or more?" I said, "No, I've only been in National Guard for 2 years, and this is where I plan on doing my career." They said, "Well, sorry, sir, you don't meet the classification of what we classify, don't meet the qualifications of what we classify as a veteran." And I said, "Excuse me? So you're telling me that every time we go to drill And every time that we have a meeting, that they're saying, and our leadership is telling us to call you if we need any assistance. You're telling me I can't get any assistance right now when I need help. That I just lost my job. I'm about to lose my apartment. That I'm not just because I'm not on orders or I'm not on active duty, that I can't get any assistance for my military injury that basically put me out of work right now. They said, well, yes, sir. Oh, we're sorry. I said, so basically what you're telling me is that my service that I'm doing right now is meaningless. They said, no, sir, it's not meaningless. I said, but that's basically what you're telling me, that I'm wasting my time in the military right now for my country, my state, that I can't get any assistance from any organization just because they don't classify me as a veteran. But in my heart, as me doing my training, I'm a veteran. They said, well, sir, that's just it's policy. I said, policy? I said, you want to know something? It's the way you're making me feel, the way you're talking to me, I might as well just become another statistic and put a bullet in my head, because this is how every soldier feels, what you're saying to me. They said, no, 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 sir. If you think about harming yourself or others, we definitely can help you with that. I said, oh, so you want to stop me from killing myself, but you don't want to help me with the issues that I'm telling you I need help with. They said, sir, again, it's just policy. I said, well, your policy effing sucks. And I hung up the phone. And for a good month, and this is my testimony. I tell everybody this.
Sure.
So it's not, this isn't new, but it still hits me hard, because I still suffer from this. This put a heavy toll on me and my mental health.
Of course it did. Of course it did.
And this, I don't want other soldiers to go through this. And because I felt alone, I put it into a desperate spot, and I went into a lot of depression, alcoholism for really fast in a good short amount of time. And I was playing video games, just doing everything I could to keep my mind off stupid stuff. I made my appointments so I can heal, and I was trying to do anything I could to muster up some money and everything. But I was lucky enough, I'm smart enough, my mom taught me to save at least 1 month's paycheck, and that's what I did. So I knew I had a month to go, but it's just, I did a lot of drinking. Grey Goose was my best friend, and I didn't have enough money to get Jack, but because I just loved Grey Goose. And finally one day I just gave up. I really did. I really just said, F it. I went in my bedroom and I was just gonna just end it all. I was like, who would care about me, really? Like, I have no wife at the time. I had nobody. I was in a 4-wall box, felt alone, going in a dark spiral just constantly, and I just didn't know what to do. And I just, to this day, I still remember the gunmetal, the taste of gunmetal in my mouth.
Wow.
Because God stepped in. I'm dead serious. God stepped in, because my best friend from college, from Liberty, he saved my life. He knocked on the door, just do a wellness check, just to see how I was doing. And he just drove up to see me and see how we were doing. And to this day, his mom was actually in the military. His mom was a major in the Pentagon.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, but he never served, but I love him like a brother. And so he will always be my brother. He saved my life. And to this day, we hang out, and it's like we picked up from where we just left off. And that's why my wife and I started this. We started this, I've had a lot of ups and downs in the military. I actually, I think a year later, my sergeant that actually, he did a couple tours. He was active duty. He was a horizontal engineer. He actually took a shotgun to his chest in his truck. And we don't know why. We don't know what he was thinking. He had a great day with some buddies from his unit. From the old unit, my old unit. And he told him, just, hey, go upstairs. Well, that's what I was told. That he said, hey, go up to the hotel, into the room. I'll meet y'all up there. Next morning, state police knock on the door. Said, do you know such and such? They said, yeah, is he all right? I said, sorry to tell you, he killed himself in his truck. And so, don't know why. I'm not, putting anything out there. I don't want to do that. But it's just, mental health is real. Mental health is really struggling. A lot of soldiers, National Guard, reservists, active duty. It's real. People don't realize that. People think, oh, you can get PTSD, just PTSD from, being a soldier overseas, but you can get PTSD anywhere, even here, even from being in your units. And it's mental health is struggling because a lot of these guys, that's all they struggle, that's all they live off of sometimes is their drill check. And then when you're basically reaching out to these services that are supposed to be helping you, and all they're doing is National Guard service or reservist service, and they're not even counting it in your veterans as it's from the VA or anything, you can't get any assistance. So
Yeah,
that's why we're trying. Go ahead.
that's one thing, Jeremiah, that, I served active duty, and it wasn't until I actually, I'll be straight with you. We didn't get to hang out with that many reservists or National Guard where I was and what I did, right? And to be candid with you, we really didn't like reservists.
Yeah.
That they got treated with kid gloves in our view. But we never met any National Guard people. And it wasn't until I started, meeting some National Guard people that you just assume that because we're all in the military, we all get treated the same. We're like, National Guard people don't get the same seat at the table that a reservist or active duty does at all.
No.
But the problem I have is, okay, you're not given the same seat at the table, but you'll ask them to go to Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait, Japan for
Yep.
a month, 6 months, whatever, like it's no big deal. And
Yep.
something's got to change there. I mean, because, I've heard about this happening where a problem happens, wife has a problem back at home, guy has an injury, and it's like a real gray area. And it just seems like for some units, we'll just kick them out and then it's not our problem anymore. So I'm glad you're bringing light to this. Your friend comes in and with no exaggeration saves your life. What happened after that started you to say, what, I can do this again. I'm going to stay in the game.
Well, basically, it just gave me more reason to keep going.
Yeah.
I still, like I said, I still struggle with depression, and sometimes I have relapses. Even recently this week I did because I just got laid off from my job.
Oh no.
But I found a new job, and I'm about to start back up. But it's just it hurts. But going into that, what kept me going, I guess, is having being lucky enough to have a good family to let me go back home. I was too prideful. I didn't want to reach out to my family. I didn't want to reach out to anyone because I didn't want to seem like a failure. And so, luckily, I was short amount of time. My best friend helped me find a job too, and helped me stay in his old apartment. He was getting married, and so he was moving in with his wife. And so it was I've been up and down. I would say, it's been no picnic. It has really not been no picnic for me. But me and my wife did long distance for 2 years. Jersey girl, loving a Central Virginia boy, Southern boy from Virginia. And so, yeah, it's just, it was an up and down struggle. And, but in the end, we started this during COVID, actually, because I was working at some prisons, Department of Corrections, for the state of Virginia, as a casework counselor. And then when COVID hit, I was like, man, I need to get out of here. And then so an inmate is actually the one that told me, said, hey, you thought about getting your CDL? So I was like, man, let me try and do it. So I ended up doing that, and it gave me a little more freedom, gave me a better paycheck. And when I was starting to do that, I felt like, hey, even though I am, caught up, I mean, I'm still struggling with some bills, but it's just maybe this is a good time for us to try and start this nonprofit. And so I did all the research beforehand anyway to find the right company, everything to help us get started. And they did every single thing. They filed our tax stuff, everything. So we just had to come up with a mission and create our board. Our board actually consists of two other military personnel. One is from the South Carolina National Guard. He was in basic training with me, actually in my platoon. And then another one, he was in second platoon, He was in another platoon, but he's one of my best friends as well. We didn't see each other for like 7 years. And then but we always stayed in contact. He came to my wedding, flew over, and it was just like, man, we just picked up and hugged each other. We missed each other. He was active duty. He's still active duty. He's serving in Germany right now, but he still makes our meetings every week, and he's on the board. And then my wife as well, and one of her colleagues, one of her friends from work, and so she's a good friend now. Well, she's always been a good friend, but I'm just, you know what I'm saying. And so, but like I said, to answer your question, go in more depth. It's been a real struggle up and down. But it's just that motivation of actually helping people, like I told you in the very beginning.
Answer me this.
Okay.
Warriors First is again more focused on rural advocacy, not major cities, but like small. And I grew up in Smithville, Illinois, is a town of 250 people when I was there. So like there's churches that have more people in Sunday school than when I grew up in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you focus on like rural advocacy versus trying to go to a big city? Because a lot of places are like, hey, we're going to focus on big metropolitan areas.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was with that is that, so in my time of understanding and learning a lot of things, I wanted to expand upon that. I wanted to help these guys and these soldiers that are struggling in these rural areas, because I'm in the rural area, and people forget about them. People forget that there are soldiers and that are living off couches of their friends or living with their parents, um, or that are first responders, are service members. And I say service members because technically, like I said, you know, I'm not considered a veteran, even though I am. I feel myself as a veteran. As a classification, we say service members, so that way we can help them. And these guys and women, men and women, actually are needing the assistance in the rural areas. And so, our goal is, our mission is to provide assistance with temporary housing and financial assistance, because those are the two main things that I really needed when I was needing that assistance, when I was calling Military One Source, because I was getting ready to lose my apartment, and I, was making my bills. My bills were piling up. I was getting ready to lose my car, and I didn't want to lose my car. I'd rather lose the apartment than my car, because my car, I can go places, go to job interviews, do my thing. I can even sleep out of it if I needed to. But it's just, I didn't want to lose that, and I was trying to be smart about it. And so like I said, people forget about the rural areas in all, and they always want to go to the cities because they think, oh, homeless veterans are in the cities. No, they're actually homeless veterans that aren't technically homeless. They say they're homeless, but it's just a classification, just a title. Really, they don't have something of their own. They don't have something of ownership of their own. They may be living with a friend or living on a couch or something. And sooner or later, it could be temporary, or their friend could get upset saying, hey, you need to get out. And he's like, he or she has saying, I don't got no place to go. Not my problem. So we actually want to help these men and women with this temporary housing, at least for 3 to 6 months. And we want to help them also with getting the help that they need with finding a job, or financial assistance in the realms of that. Or if they are basically working, we want to make sure that they are working enough to where they're saving up at least 3 months worth of paychecks. And so that way they can actually start restructuring their lives back on track. And that's what we want to focus on. We want to make sure that these people are actually restructuring their lives back on track to where they are making their bills on time, paying their bills on time, being good advocates towards this organization, and helping others as well. Basically, giving back is the same method that they used. They did all the commercials back in the '90s when I was
Right.
growing up, saying, "Hey, help your fellow man." And it's just, that's what we're trying to support. And so we're built, even though we do not have the land, we do not have the tiny homes, because we want to do micro communities. We don't have a lot of that right now, but we have been building up partnerships. We have building up relationships with great organizations that can help us with those other services that we allocate out, such as mental health, such as substance abuse, or again with suicide or alcoholism, we can allocate those services, and we can also point them in the right direction towards helping them find a better job if they need help, or if they need help with writing resumes, anything like that. We try to get them those resources. We're actually building up a case manager, um, I would say, team on our for our organization. Our ED is the one that actually reached out to you. Her name's Andrea,
Yep.
and she is awesome. Andrea Perez, like I said, she came on here. Our previous ED, she was good. She was good. She was nice. She just, I just felt like she wasn't doing the right stuff that Andrea was doing, and so we're very thankful to have Andrea to reach out to you all and to other organizations that really just want to be involved and actually let us get the time to share our story, share my story.
So just a reason I'm kind of looking around here, I just wanted to read to people that you're not exaggerating here. This is from, several military sources. National Guard members, this is the current law, are considered veterans if they served 20 years or more, or if they served 180 days or more in a federal status outside of training. This is due to a law passed in 2016 that gave them official veteran status to retired and guardsmen and women. National Guard and Reserve members who are not called to active duty are not considered veterans under current law, which is
Yep.
completely the opposite for active duty. A
Yep.
veteran is a person who served in active duty military, naval, or air service who was discharged or released under conditions other than dishonorable, which means for like the Marine Corps, you had a lot of guys who went to boot camp and got hurt during boot camp, got discharged between boot camp and their MOS school, but because they went in as active duty and got their, other than honorable discharge or honorable discharge, they're considered veterans.
Mhm.
I now I'm going to go down this rabbit hole, Jeremiah, and see what the 2016 law was. Right. I mean, it's just weird because I get what you're saying, because for National Guard and reservists, you are different. But here's the
Yeah.
thing that people miss is you have to maintain a state of readiness physically, mentally, technically, you got to be good at your job in order to serve in your unit for the time that you're there. It doesn't seem right, because it's funny, if you were in the Army or any other service and had the same situation happen, you've been a veteran. You
Yeah.
have your DD 214 and you have your active duty status. It had to be a real blow to, what you thought versus what you were told, man.
Yeah. And so I actually, very early on, I had a great readiness NCO. He then retired. Um, but I told him I was considering going active duty. And he said, you know what? You don't want to do that. And I was like, why? He's like, do you want to really understand the difference? I said, okay, well, just explain it to me. He said, basically said to me, he's like, so everything that you're doing this drill weekend, right? I said, yes, that's hard. He said, you're doing that 24/7, nonstop until your contract is done. He said, everything you're doing on this drill weekend, or even the 2 weeks that you do, you're doing that 24/7. But yet you still have to maintain your height and weight, make sure your readiness is up to date, make sure you're all good, and everything. I said, well, dang, now that you think of it that way, but we could still go to the same schools. We can go to, I wanted to go to air assault. I wanted to be a sapper. Yeah, I really just wanted those two. I kind of like idolized my drill sergeant. He was a good guy. He was a
Yeah.
great mentor, great teacher, and those are the two things that he had that I really wanted just to show him that and make him proud of me. Kind of like, because I had a real bad experience growing up. My life giver was not around, and so it's just I was trying to find good people, good men to actually be
Mentor you
good
and
mentors. Yeah.
yeah.
And so and then I wanted to make sure that I was always a good man, because I'm actually, my wife and I are expecting our first child. So
Really? Well,
yes,
congratulations,
thank you.
Jeremiah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's the reason why my wife is actually stepping away, coming away soon. So we're making sure that our team is getting ready for that. She's going to still be with the team, but it's just she's not doing a lot of the logistics and everything she does do.
You know if you're having a boy or girl.
I'm not saying it because
Oh no, you're not okay. But do you know though?
yes, I do know.
All right,
Yes,
all
I
right,
do.
all right, all right. Well, I liked knowing myself because I got to bond with I got three sons, and it was like, oh, I gotta. I started like I it wasn't just a baby. It was just like that's my son.
Mhm, exactly. And
It's a
that's what
really
I've been doing. I've been like
yeah.
putting my head down and talking to it. So it's good.
What an exciting time.
Exactly. And it's just that's why I said this week I was a little stressed out. I had to refer back. I you know,
It's
I guess
okay. It's okay.
relapsed.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
it's okay. I got a cold, and I'm like, and then I got a little flu symptoms, and I'm like, it was not a good morning, Jeremiah. I'm
yeah.
like,
I know.
this
I was
guy's,
just saying, like, I was relapsing this week because I got let go. I got let from my job.
oh no, man. But
Yeah,
you're
so
hired again?
yeah, I told you I got my truck driving license, so I'm back to that. But it's just it takes me away from doing this. This is what I really want
Yeah.
to do, my full-time job, and it's hard to do when we have no funding. But we're working on that, and
Well,
but I'll get to that.
how can
So,
people help you out, with what you're
uh,
doing?
well, what we're doing, I really want to help reach out to people, personnel, and everyone that can donate. Go to our website. We have a donate button. Follow us on social media. Uh, give our donations there. We also have Give Butter account as well. Everything is connected to our website. Go to warriorsfirstinc.org. Everything is there for people to find us and research everything. Um, but I mean, I lost track of where you were. Oh, yes, one other thing that I was going to say. Backtrack towards my sergeant saying that you were emphasizing and going back into the difference between National Guard and Army. This is the thing. Like I said, I still have my injuries, right? And I have my LODs that I was hurt on active duty, and then I also have an LOD for when I was hurt on drill weekend.
Yep.
I have that. And don't you know, I have to actually, for me as a National Guardsman or reservist, that I have to actually fight that with a lawyer in order for me to get benefits from the military to be classified as a veteran because I got hurt on military duty. That's the only thing. But yet, if you were active, it'll go straight through. And so
Yeah,
I
that's
have to fight that.
yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand. And then, when I first started dipping my toe in the veterans advocacy, I'm like, why are all these reservists and National Guard guys so jaded at the system? And it's like, well, I got hurt on drill week, and I got hurt overseas. And then they told me, hey, we're not going to fix you. Go to your, employee insurance and get fixed. And the employee insurance is like, well, what do you mean the military won't? It became a huge mess, man. And I would tell anybody who's active duty, hey, we can't. We make fun of you all. I'm not gonna lie. We make fun of you,
It's
National
fine.
Guard. We do, and the reserves would show up in Yuma, and they're like, "Oh, you know, these barracks are unset." Like, really, this is the best we got. So, all that aside is you have a different road than we do. It's
Yeah.
not the same at all. So I'm just glad that you've gone through all these challenges, Jeremiah. And this is really the reason I want to talk to you on Oscar Mike Radio is you've gone through all these challenges. You've almost taken a permanent solution to your very real problems. But now you're finding ways to give back. And, with your child coming, you get to write a different story for that child, man. It's got to be an exciting time for you. And hopefully you feel that, like I do, that the work is all worth it.
Oh yeah, I really do. I'm trying to at least, and I want to make sure that I am helping in some kind of way because I want to make sure that I'm giving back. As I said, another reason, and I will say this real quickly, the reason why I want to help first responders is because of my cousin. My cousin, I looked up to him growing up. I hope he watches this one day. I'll send him the link and hopefully he watches it. But uh, he did time. He was a police officer actually before he actually got locked up, but he struggled with mental health. And you can look it up, look up the whole ordeal if you want to. Anybody can. It's the individual was named Psycho Sam of Farmville, Virginia. He basically came over from California, some kind of place out west. Met this little girl online. So again, parents, be careful with understanding who your kids are talking to. This happened back in 2007, 2008, something like that. And he came over, flew over, murdered the whole family, butchered them all. And my cousin was actually one of the first officers on scene. He wasn't the first through, but he was one of the first officers on scene. And when they found out where the individual was and he was leaving, they forced him to stay and to actually, while they were picking the coroner was picking up the bodies and everything. And he described it to me as satanic and everything. And he struggled with mental health. Even to this day, he struggles with mental health. And so I want to make sure that we're helping those first responders as well, because they need that assistance. People forget about them too. And I want to make sure that if they need the assistance of just stepping away and going into a secluded area to help them restructure their minds, get away from the negativity of their family, of anything around them, and just to get them in a good spot. We want to make sure we're helping them in some kind of way too, because another thing for that is that statistically it has been proven and that veterans that do finish their service, that don't have 20 years, that don't, that come back from deployment, everything, statistically is proven that they are more likely to get killed in a line of duty as a police officer than they are overseas. And that's crazy. And so we want to make sure that if the VA ain't helping them, but they're classified as a first responder, or if they have their DD 214, we're trying to break all barriers. We're trying to cover all our bases, so that way we can help them in some kind of way with some temporary housing and financial assistance. So when I would say financial assistance, we're not no free bank. We're not going to say we're just going to give you a free check. We're actually going to go over your finances, find out what bill is really hurting you monthly. Say it's your mortgage, car payment, whatever. We will actually pay that bill for you. Once we start getting the funding, we don't have it now, so everybody don't start giving us a call. But we will help pay directly towards that lender, towards that bank, whatever, for you for that month, because that is our goal. So that way it'll give you some kind of leeway. And you're going to have to follow if we do that, you would have to follow talking to our financial advisor, financial counselor, making sure that you're doing it. Quick story on that one. The sergeant that actually took his life that I mentioned, he told me a story about one of his soldiers that kept on spending all his money, his paycheck every week or every time he got paid. And he was like, Sarge, I don't know what's going on. I'm always broke. He's like, what are you doing, Brad? Why are you spending all his money? And so he's like, I'm going to fix this. We're going to figure this out. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to figure this out. And we're going to fix this. That's basically what he said. So what he found after he knew he got paid, everybody got paid on the same day. He followed him and came and talked to him the next day. He figured out what the problem was. He said, Private such and such, I found out your problem. He's like, oh, you did, Sarge? Thank you. He's like, yeah. So every time you get paid, you go out to the strip clubs and you spend all your money out of the strip clubs, and that's what you're doing. So we're going to set up a plan to get you out of debt, and you're not going to go there no more, because I'm giving you an order, and you're not, because you got family and you got to work on yourself. So we're going to set up a financial plan for you to actually start working on yourself better. And that idea is where it came from, be honest with you. So I want to make sure in remembrance of that sergeant that took his life. Like I said, I'm not going to say any names, but that was one of the best stories that I remember him saying. And it was fun. And one other thing as well, you keep on bringing up about the difference between National Guard and reserves. Final story. We were getting ready to go deploy my old unit. And granted, I was not looking forward to it, but I could still go with them. I could be in headquarters for it because of my injury and things. I couldn't do my actual combat engineer duties, but I could be attached to the headquarters portion of the unit, so I could help with the mission. Well, they go down to Fort Polk because I'm attached to another unit. right now, but I'm attached to another unit at Fort Pickett, but I'm still on the books with my old unit because of my contract. It's weird, but it does happen. Everybody figure it out. I promise you it does happen. And so they went down to Fort Polk with the 10th Mountain because they were getting ready to deploy with them. Our team actually passed. We had passed our evaluation. The 10th Mountain failed.
Shh.
So yeah,
Oh boy.
everybody talks stuff. We passed. Our combat engineering unit, we passed. We were ready to go, but the 10th Mountain failed us, so we couldn't go.
I can tell you what, they were getting some pain and suffering for 24/7 for a while. That's not, you just don't want that. You don't want that.
No. But that's a good story that everybody thinks, hey, we're on top of our stuff. We have to do this stuff. We've actually had active duty guys come into National Guard and they're like, man, y'all are on top of your stuff like that, because we push. We have to do everything in a short amount of time on the weekends, and so we have to get those things done, and so that's why we were always moving so quickly to complete our mission.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the website is warriorsfirstinc.org. I'll have it and the social media handles in the Oscar Mike Radio Show post. Jeremiah, I'm so glad your organization reached out to me and we got to connect. I really resonate with the mission you all have, especially serving, rural veterans and first responders. I think it's really something that's not seen a whole lot of. And your story should give hope to people who are in their abyss, man, in the valley, in the shadow of death, a light out. And I just hope for all the best for you and your growing family. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And again, I really appreciate this opportunity. And please have me back. I want to tell you more about what we plan on doing in the future with actual transitioning soldiers that are getting out of the military, because we have a lot of ideas that we want to do with that too. Getting out of getting out of active duty. We want to help them as well. So
well, when you guys have another chapter that you want to talk about, just reach out. We'll make this happen. It's been really great talking with you, and all the best. And this is just one of the great parts of doing Oscar Mike Radio. So you've made my day, man. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate it. And again, for everyone, please check us out, warriorsfirstinc.org, and go follow us on social media, all platforms, and donate. Please help us in some kind of way, or you want to volunteer, please let us know. We have everyone all over the country, even in other countries, actually assisting us with remote jobs. Please help us and help us grow.
Well, look, folks, again, that's Jeremiah Williams, Army National Guard. I'm going to say veteran in my book. And thank you for, serving our country and your state, the great state of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, rather. And as we say here on Oscar Mike Radio, we are mission in flight. We will see you next time.
Remember on and teach is our mission. We care about it and we do it every day. But I think there are things that just hit you and give you a reason to go on. The theme for our 2024 for Reach Across America is Live with Purpose. It just seemed to fit in with the vows of the REAP, the 10 attributes that we feel represent our United States military. I thought, what a great opportunity to put those two things together and show our kids through how we act some of the things that can make their lives better, their communities better, and by doing that, the country better. For me, Live with Purpose, I think, it's a mindset. Set some guidelines and then go out and purposefully make life different, make a change. It's an opportunity to set an example.
Thank you for listening and watching Oscar Mike Radio, where our active duty service members and veterans are in action and the mission is in flight. Oscar Mike Radio is an oversized load Co-Sinister One production. If you are a veteran or know a veteran who needs help, please dial 988 and press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line.